Hello everyone, and welcome to Look Who's Cooking. My name is Jeremy Edwards, and we'll be doing beer bread today. First, let's talk about what we need. You're going to need a mixing bowl for this. You're going to need 3 cups of all-purpose flour. You're going to need about 2 tablespoons of butter. Some are going to be melted, and some you're going to need to use to grease your pan. You're going to need 1 teaspoon of iodized salt. You're going to need 1 tablespoon of baking powder and 2 to 4 tablespoons of sugar, depending on how sweet you like it. I like mine on the sweeter side, so I actually put 5 tablespoons in here just to give it a little extra sweetness. Also, you're going to need 12 ounces of your favorite beer. I picked a lager. You can do a stout, you can do a porter, whatever your favorite beer is. If you like IPAs, you have that option as well. And also, this is a standard 9-inch loaf pan. You can use aluminum, this is copper, doesn't matter. Next, we're going to mix all our dry ingredients together. So you're going to take your all-purpose flour, your sugar, your salt, and your baking powder. And you really want to mix this before you add your wet ingredients, just to make sure that all your ingredients are mixed and incorporated together. It is not going to leave anything messed up in the baking process. So just with a whisk, just gently stirring all your dry ingredients together until you notice that everything is incorporated together. Once that is finished, the fun part begins, adding the beer. In this process, you're going to whisk it, but don't over whisk it because you don't want to have it mess up in the oven while baking it. It's going to come out thick, almost a pancake type biscuit consistency, and that's fine. If you have lumps, that is okay as well. So just gently mixing it, trying to incorporate all the beer and the dry ingredients together. Now, beer bread is considered a quick bread because of how fast it takes to make, how fast it takes to prepare as well. You don't have to knead, you don't have to have the yeast leaven or rise. The yeast in the beer is the active ingredient with the baking powder, and it causes the bread to rise just like you would a banana nut bread or Irish soda bread. And these breads have become popular in the mid-1800s when the advent of baking soda and baking powder came into play. So as you can see, it's a very thick consistency. You still want to work it because sometimes the batter gets mixed up in the whisk. Okay. As you can see, it looks like bread dough. Now, since we have all the wet ingredients mixed together and our batter is finished, we're going to now prepare our pan. We're going to now take the butter that we reserved for that and lightly grease the pan to prevent our batter from sticking to the pan during the baking process. Now, you can either take a napkin or, like myself, I'll just use my hands. Take the butter and you're just going to rub it on the side. This is making sure that you have a nice even coat of butter on the side of the pans. You're going to do the sides and the bottoms just to make sure that everything does not stick once it's finished. And your pan should look nice and greasy like so. Once that is finished, then you take your batter and just put it right in your pan. Scraping everything out. And you just gently press it down, making sure that all the batter touches the bottom and the sides. And it should look like so. But yet, you're not finished. The remaining butter, we're going to take and put it on our stove, and we need to melt this butter. And the melted butter, we're going to put right on top of the batter right before it goes in the oven. So we're going to go right to the oven. If you turn it on high, that's perfectly fine, because you want to just melt it very quickly. Next, we're going to take our melted butter and just pour it right over top of the bread. Just like so. And it should look just like this. If it's a lot of butter, it's fine. It's eventually going to soak into the bread. It's going to create a nice crust on the top and the edges of it. So you'll have a nice crispiness into it when you bite it. Next, we put it in the oven on 375 for 30 to 55 minutes. It takes somewhere between 40 to 45, depending on how dense your bread is and the type of oven. But in that time frame, you just want to check your loaf just to make sure that it's baking in the manner in which it should. Once you've taken your beer bread out the oven, you want to take a knife or some type of testing tool and just poke the bread. And if it comes out clean, that's when you know that your bread is done. Okay. Once you let it cool for 5 minutes, you just take a knife or a spatula, gently going across the side, loosening up from the edges of the pan. And then you just want to put it on a plate or whatever serving dish that you have. Be careful, it might still be a little warm. If you want to let it cool a lot longer, you can. And here is your finished product.